Hey everyone, it's Silas, and today we're going to be explaining what is going on with Yeeps' story. And I think you all will like what I pieced together. If you didn't know, during the anniversary livestream we got a lot of information about a game called G3, or the next Yeeps game, which a lot of other people are saying that it's going to be called Yeeps or blah 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 blah. We're here to discuss that. So, a lot of channels recently have been covering a lot of small parts of Yeeps, like a Yeeps Theorists, I'll throw their YouTube channel in the description, which was able to tell us around the date where Yeeps takes place, due to a lot of other, lore aspects, which I'll let them explain that in their video. So, because of this, I'm going to be able to better explain what I'm going to explain now in a future video with a timeline. But today, that's not what you're really looking for. You're looking for the story of Yeeps, which we're going to get into. Thousands of years ago, in Yeeps history, an ancient species of Yeeps, or Yeeps as it's been theorized, ruled the world and became, and evolved, into the Yeeps we know and love today. Each update, or drop, shows a specific point in history. One of their first inventions, the cotton machine, is a machine that pumped cotton into Yeeps to supply them with their endless creativity. And this creativity led to the discovery of their science, or creation of their science. This science led to stuff like wiring, their gadgets, and as Yeeps kept expanding and multiplying, they created the gadgets we know and love, like the grappler, the grapple hook, and a lot of others. Later on, they started experimenting with glowing red mushrooms, which are a huge source of, I believe, radioactive activity, or just natural energy, period. In this case, the glowing mushrooms in Yeeps 1.0, which led to a huge, and I mean huge, scientific breakthrough in Yeeps species, thus leading to the portal that we saw in Yeeps 1.0 when transitioning to Yeeps 2.0. They kept experimenting with this, and even though they led tests, they hadn't anticipated how many Yeeps truly were going to use it all at once. Now, if you didn't know, if you were there on update day, what happened is that the devs literally had to make the server max sizes way bigger due to the fact that almost, I believe, 90%, or somewhere between 75 and 90% of their entire community was on. Now, is this a real fact? No. However, it's based on the statistic of how they literally had to max out their server sizes way more, and how Meta kept having issues with them due to the fact of how many people were trying to update all at once. It took around an hour for it to fully get fixed, but that just shows the sheer quantity, which explains the next thing. Even though they probably sent living experiments to test beforehand, they hadn't anticipated the full quantity of how many Yeeps were truly going to go through the portal at once, thus causing a reactor meltdown thus creating a reactor meltdown on the portal, therefore just imploding it from the inside. Months prior, however, if you guys remember, the first Yeeps Halloween update came out. Now, in this update, we got a lot of other things. However, the main thing that we're going to focus on real quick is the horror bear. Now, what happened, or what the horror bear is a creature similar to Yeep, probably that evolved differently than us Yeeps, and basically evolved in a way that's way more predatory and way more territorial. Now, when this portal thing happened, it sucked almost everything we know into said portal, including the bear. However, there's a reason we didn't see the bear at first. It got thrown into a different time. Due to how the mushrooms, or energy, reacted to the bear, it mutated the bear. Now, the reason this didn't happen to us Yeeps is because the hazmat suits, or the gnomes, had tested it on Yeeps. However, the bear isn't a Yeep. It's an ancestor or a distant cousin of our species, leading to a huge, and I mean huge, mental breakdown, shattering its mind in the process due to the mutation, which made it so the need to protect its territory and to scare others away from it became twisted and turned and truly destroyed. And I can't think of any other words. To the point where it would become hostile to every single living being. Almost every single living being. Now, I'll cover the full lore of horror levels in a different video. So we'll move on for now. Eventually, through the hardships, Yeeps found their current home map. Yeeps eventually made all these different buildings, eventually made it so portal technology finally was able to be used for good and allowed for easier transportation around short distances around their planet. And that, my friends, is the main story of Yeeps. Again, I will cover sub-stories like their advancements in science, technologies, and horror in other levels, which will have a lot more theories than just this. This video was more like a explanation of anything. Other videos will be more of theories. So if you want to base your thoughts on any of my videos, base it on this one. That's all for now. See you in the next one.